sessió en el Palau Macaya, que és la sessió de final, la darrera sessió del cicle que hem organitzat novament aquest any entre l'Institut Europeu de la Mediterrani i el Club de Roma. N'estem molt satisfets, l'experiència ha estat un cop més molt rígida i, que insisteixo que és la darrera conferència d'aquest cicle, només volia fer esment a dues idees que el cicle ens ha induït. Una, que la creativitat al voltant de la Mediterrània continua sent potent, els recursos en capital humà i amb imaginació, amb creativitat i amb bona voluntat i amb desitjos de pau i de progrés continuen sent molt potents tot al voltant de la Mediterrània. I l'altra és que això ens permet, malgrat les dificultats i malgrat que estem vivint també a la Mediterrània, malauradament, moments difícils, ens permet mantenir viva l'esperança. I això crec que és molt potent i és una de les coses que podem agrair en aquest cicle. El dilluns passat a Barcelona vam tenir la fortuna que teníem un personatge també mediterrani, i mediterrani d'ambdues bandes de la mar, que era l'Amin Malouf, l'entrega del Premi Internacional a Catalunya. I amb motiu de l'entrega del premi, el senyor Malouf es va honorar en la seva presència al Palau de la Generalitat. I clar, era un plaer escoltar amb un personatge mediterrani com l'altre personatge que avui ens acompanya, que és el senyor Ben Gacem, parlar dels seus projectes, les seves idees i les seves reflexions al voltant de la nostra història i de la nostra civilització. Bé, per això els deia que tenim molts motius per, malgrat tot, ser optimistes i esperançats, i confio que la sessió d'avui i les que organitzarem, sens dubte, si Déu vol i l'IEMEDI està d'acord, l'any proper continuaran permetre'ns avançar en aquesta línia. Bé, benvinguts, insisteixo, moltes gràcies i passo la paraula a la moderadora que dirigirà la sessió, a la que agraeixo molt la seva presència. Moltes gràcies.
Moltes gràcies a tots vosaltres per assistir en aquesta darrera sessió del cicle Med Diàlegs Plus 2030 de l'Institut Europeu de la Mediterrània. Aquest cicle es parla del desenvolupament econòmic a través de la cultura i el patrimoni, que, degut a la gran riquesa històrica de l'àrea mediterrània, i no només en el camp de l'art i de l'arquitectura, sinó també en el camp del patrimoni immaterial, les artesanies, les tradicions locals, el desenvolupament sostenible de les zones amb una gran herència històrica és un dels grans reptes dels països mediterranis. La cultura i la conservació tant arquitectònica com de les tradicions locals poden ser mitjans a través dels quals ajudar a mantenir els centres històrics de les ciutats i poblacions, però també beneficiar les comunitats locals perquè no es perdin les tradicions artesanals i animar les generacions joves a no abandonar els indrets on han nascut. A més, és una bona manera d'impulsar el turisme cultural d'una manera ordenada, pròspera i sostenible. Aquest és un dels temes que tractarem a la conversa amb la Leila Ben Gacem. Com us deia, la Leila Ben Gacem és un exemple de com es pot arribar a fer una conservació de l'herència cultural i de desenvolupament econòmic i social en llocs històrics de Tunísia i especialment en una zona molt concreta com és el casc històric i la Medina de Tunis. Aquesta és la història que la Leila Ben Gacem ens ha vingut a explicar aquesta tarda i agraïm molt la seva presència aquí per explicar-nos aquesta experiència. Us presento una mica el personatge. Ella és emprenedora social avui en dia, però la seva formació és molt diferent. Ella es va formar com a enginyera biomèdica i és una carrera que va estudiar a la Universitat de Boston, als Estats Units. Abans de tornar definitivament al seu país, a Tunísia, va treballar en empreses com la Hewlett Packard a Alemanya o la Sada Medical a Líbia. Però hi ha un moment en què la biografia de Leila canvia i dona un gir a la seva carrera, guiada pel seu interès per l'emprenedoria social i la preservació del patrimoni i l'herència cultural, i comença una sèrie d'accions per demostrar com l'emprenedoria amb voluntat social pot ser una eina poderosa per a la transformació social i econòmica de zones històriques. El 2006 va fundar Bluefish, que és una consultoria i empresa social dedicada a fomentar el turisme cultural i el desenvolupament comunitari a través de la revitalització del patrimoni. Bluefish és una organització de metodologia Lean que opera amb una xarxa de professionals autònoms amb experiència contrastada en diversos sectors econòmics. A través de Bluefish, on el 50% dels recursos s'utilitza per ajudar a microempreses o a ONGs liderades per joves. També ha posat en marxa molts projectes per ajudar a les dones. L'empresa també pensa solucions que alliberin el potencial nacional d'art i d'artesania mitjançant el desenvolupament d'habilitats empresarials i tècniques, construint ponts culturals d'entesa per mantenir la diversitat, utilitzant les mateixes eines que desafien la diversitat, la tecnologia i la globalització. Un dels projectes que ha impulsat també Leila Ben Gacem ha estat la restauració d'una casa tradicional del segle XVII a la Medina, de Tunis, transformant-la en un hotel botic, el Dar Ben Gacem. Aquest projecte ha revitalitzat un edifici històric, i no només això, sinó que també ha impulsat les artesanies locals, creant llocs de treball per als artesans de la comunitat. En el camp de l'artesania tunesina, Ben Gacem ha portat endavant diverses iniciatives, a més. Ha organitzat tallers, programes de formació per a artesans, especialment dones, ensenyant-los com monetitzar les seves habilitats i promoure els seus productes tant en mercats locals com internacionals. Aquest enfocament ha estat essencial per assegurar que les tradicions artesanals tunisines sobrevisquin i prosperin. Però Leila Gacem ha impulsat altres coses, altres iniciatives paral·leles, i en aquesta conversa ens explicarà una mica quin ha estat l'impacte entre els habitants i treballadors del casc històric de Tunis i també, evidentment, dels obstacles que s'ha trobat pel camí i dels reptes que té d'ara en endavant. Comencem, doncs, una mica la conversa i jo, abans que tot, voldria preguntar-li a la senyora Ben Gacem com és que una enginyera biomèdica decideix canviar a un camp tan diferent com la preservació, tenir un interès per la preservació del patrimoni i de l'herència cultural.
Thank you, Monse. I'm very humbled by your introduction. I'm hearing myself. Big thank you to IEMED for the invitation. Excited to be here discussing with you, Monse, today. Well, I worked as an engineer in a multinational corporation, and I always had a blank book. I always had a blank book where I put my dreams, things I want to do when I retire. And then I couldn't wait. And I became obsessed with the idea of social entrepreneurship. I learned a lot. You learn a lot. When you work in a multinational corporation, it's better than an MBA. You learn so much: internationalization, costing, pricing, exporting, marketing, branding. And I always thought all these things can be used for things that have more meaning. And I became obsessed with the idea of creating a business that has meaning, that can put people, environment, and community as important as financial profit. And I couldn't wait anymore until I retire, so I decided to quit and start, as you said, my first business, Bluefish. And it has been a beautiful journey of discovery of how you can make the balance between a profitable business and impact to society.
És a dir, que es va tractar d'utilitzar eines que havia après en el que és el mercat internacional global capitalista, aplicar-ho a... És a dir, és com anar del macro al micro, anar a petites empreses, a petites intervencions. Que a vegades del micro es pot arribar al macro, no?
Yeah, when I started Bluefish in the beginning, I was thinking, why can't small artisans use the same techniques to sustain their businesses and create more opportunities for people around them? And it used to always fascinate me how a company can grow so much and export and become. And I thought exporting is very important to sustain the important wealth of heritage, art, craftsmanship that we have. we have a very important number. I think it's the same in Spain. We have an important number of artisans, but I think the demand in the local market might not be enough to help artisans sustain the legacy of their families. So I started working with artisans, and because I thought, why, they cannot, they don't know how to market. But then I realized it's not just marketing, they are pricing wrong. Women, sometimes I work with a woman, she's making a carpet for 1 month. She buys wool for 80 dinars, and then she sells the carpet for 100 dinars. So she's making herself poorer, but she doesn't know it. So then I decided, okay, they need to understand how to keep their costs, how to sell better. But in doing that, you realize that they have other issues. And this is how it was a journey again. Every time I discover something and I try to, and this is how I got into cultural tourism, because I think cultural tourism can tell a positive story about the legacies of all these people and create a more sustainable, resilient small businesses.
Podria descriure com era la Medina de Tunis i com eren els seus habitants i com vivien abans, és a dir, abans de la implementació dels seus projectes, no? És a dir, abans del 2006. És a dir, què és el que fa que pensi que val la pena fer una acció d'aquest tipus a la Medina?
The historical urban part of Tunis was, of course, during before the independence from France in the 50s. It was inhabited by many families, and especially master artisans and big families. But after independence, the government went into creating more European communities and focused on urban development, which moved out of the Medina. And then with the modern life, the car becomes the queen. So you can't live in historical cities anymore. You need to move to other communities where the car can find her place. And this is how the historical urban part, the family that used to live there, most of them moved out. And also the government did not focus on urban development of the historical quarter. So what happened is that there are a lot of under-maintained, beautiful historical buildings, but they were important opportunities, residential opportunities for internal migrations. So a lot of internal migrations moving to the capital looking for a job. They can find a very affordable housing because the house is not maintained, but also you're at the center of the capital. So you're walking distance from many opportunities. You don't need to pay for the transportation. And this is how we got to the important, the number of home ownership in the Medina of Tunis is 46%, which is the lowest in the whole country. So most of the people who live there are either rent or squat. In fact, in 2019, we made a survey in the Medina, and we found that 126 buildings collapsed. And these are abandoned historical buildings that have just fallen down. There are many reasons, but mainly because of multi-ownership. So if the building is 300, 500 years old, today you own it with your siblings and all the cousins, and sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't know them. So the house becomes unsellable. And we have a lot of those, and these add to the urban degradation because the collapsed building makes the whole space insecure and makes residential areas uncomfortable, especially for women. So if a woman lives nearby a collapsed building, she needs to go around, take a different long route to get to her home. And in fact, these collapsed buildings, they add to urban degradation, and they make the community unsafe. And the number changes every year because more buildings collapse, but also some squatters come from the south looking for a job, want to live in the capital. They can just put a few stones and it becomes a home. So we're working with the community. We're trying to help convert these spaces to make them green spaces for young people, for women and girls, to find a safe place to be in the public space.
I com va començar exactament Bluefish? És a dir, quin va ser el principi i amb qui es va associar, amb quin tipus de professionals es va associar per portar endavant aquesta iniciativa? I també, si es podia dir, el nom, que és molt bonic, el nom de Bluefish, aquest blue, aquest blau de les portes i dels... Però si ens vol explicar també una mica el títol.
It was a time in my life where I was a little bit lost. So I like blue, I like fish. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to call it Bluefish. It's in English because I'm international, you know, it's going to become international one day. So, but I really wanted to work with the micro businesses and help them export what they can do. So I worked with artisans. I worked also with some freelancers, young people who freelance and try to export, web design or logo design. It was a journey of discovery. It was a time when I started Bluefish. It was a time where I did not make a lot of money, but I was very happy because I was doing things that have meaning. So it took some time, Bluefish still, as you presented in the beginning, I mean, from the start, I wanted it to be a social enterprise. So I'm freelancing as a consultant. And today, in fact, we work on a little bit more activities. We also work with territories to help them design some territorial marketing, but also 50% of our time is pro bono to NGOs and young people who want to start businesses or even design festivals in the Medina.
Quin tipus de productes o d'activitats promou Bluefish en aquests moments? O ha promogut en tota la seva història?
In the beginning, it was, as I said, working with women home-based businesses especially. And many of them, they carry the legacy. I work with them with a lot of emotions because she learned her craft from her mother, her grandmother, and she's struggling to keep on doing it, and there's no market. She does not sure how to use today's globalization instruments. So we worked on exporting some palm leaf products made of palm leaves, products made of halfa, olive wood products. We worked on carpets also, but then, as I said, finally now through the boutique hotel, we try to give through the decoration, we give the product life. So when people see it in use, there's more appetite to consume. So we try to create appetite through the usability of the product and the decoration of the boutique hotel, or the day-to-day use when our guests use them. Today, in fact, Bluefish, we work more on strategic, so how to help artisans create cooperatives to improve buying raw material at a lower rate and divide it. How to help territories improve their marketing of the territory, including the know-how of the city. So we're working with municipalities to help them integrate the cultural dynamic that young people want to create in their cities. So today we do a little bit of export, but we are more focused on strategies.
I el tema, abans parlava que molts habitatges i molts edificis havien col·lapsat abans de Bluefish, no? També hi ha algun tipus d'estratègia en aquest sentit, en el sentit patrimonial de pedra, diguem-ne, d'arquitectura i de conservació del casc històric?
Yeah, so it has been slow. It has been a journey again. I started by restoring one house. It was a financial roller coaster, and then I reinvested all of the profits of the first house in restoring the second. But then, as you said, it's creating the dynamic. You can't just restore a building in a community. You need to work with the community. And also through the boutique hotel, I mean, the historical building that I first restored is a boutique hotel today, but we are also a social enterprise, so all of our employees are from the community. And we try to understand what the community needs. So we are collaborating with artisans in the Medina to create an experience for our guests. So you don't just live in a boutique hotel, you also get to meet the shoemaker, you get to meet the calligrapher, you get to meet the lady who's cooking. So that way we create shared economy. So we share the economy with the community. And as we did that, of course we made friends. And this is how we came together as an economic interest group. So later on, we created an economic interest group. It's called Mdinti. So we are united. Today, 26 micro businesses based in the Medina, artisans, cafes, restaurants, boutique hotels, bookmakers. So we are united as one legal entity, and we try to act as an economic lobby. Because each one of us is a small business. So if we have a problem of security, cleanliness, light at night, maybe if we talk to the municipality, they will not, but if we are together and we speak to authorities, we are stronger vis-a-vis as an economic lobby. And this way we try to push for urban development together. And now we have some impact investors who are also interested now to work with us and create one entity where impact investors can put funds together and save as many buildings as possible when we find all the owners.
Ja, ho suposo, sí. És a dir, que el que feu és, de certa manera, compartir serveis. És a dir, les petites empreses el que fan és compartir una sèrie de serveis perquè surti, no? Perquè en certa manera tot surti a compte a tothom, que tothom surti beneficiat i no es doblin els serveis, diguem-ne.
Yes, exactly. I'm a strong believer in the importance of shared economy. I think we try to create an experience. The whole urban experience needs to be positive. You can't just have a beautiful house in a community and everything around you is not very happy, and you try to create happiness in one you're building. You need to share the happiness with everyone else to make it sustainable for everyone. So yes, and it makes business sense, and this is something I always work on. Because people in our region and maybe in Spain, I don't know, but people always think that you're either private sector capitalist or you are a humanitarian NGO, a non-profit, and I think there's something in between that I'm madly in love with, and I want to tell everyone that it makes business sense. And in fact, as a boutique hotel, when I started the business more than 10 years ago, the length of stay of my guests was 1.2. So people stay one night, maybe 2 nights, because it's not exciting outside. But now with shared economy, because we work with a network of friends and we help them grow, they help us grow, we create packs. We also work with the young people in the community who dropped out of school. They don't want to go to school, so they can be a tourist guide. And this way, Today, the average length of stay is up to 4.3. So it also makes business sense. We are sharing economy, we're creating business for our neighbors, but it also helps our business grow. So it makes sense.
Per tant, és una... Pel client que va a aquest hotel, l'experiència és diferent que si anés a un hotel, diguem-ne, normal o d'una cadena. És a dir, és una altra experiència la que té el client. És a dir, també impacta en el client aquesta manera de treballar cooperativament, no?
I think there's room for all tourism sector, and different people want different experiences. I think, of course, some of our guests are people who went on booking.com and they found a good rating and they came, but also we have a lot of conscious consumers, which are my favorite type of guests. We have a good percentage of our guests are conscious consumers. They have selected to stay with us because they know what we're trying to do. They understand that our team, most of our team are high school dropouts. They learned everything from work. They are from the community. They might not be the most sophisticated people, but they are very hospitable. They love to talk about their community, and it gives them hope. And I think we have a lot of guests that understand that, and they want to be part of it.
Estava pensant en les famílies que han viscut tota la vida i totes les seves famílies i tots els seus els descendents que han viscut tota la vida en aquest barri, no? Com van rebre aquest projecte? Com van rebre aquesta transformació al seu voltant? Sobretot, diguem-ne, la gent més gran, per exemple.
I'm going to tell you two examples from two people from my team. The first is Muhammad Ali. Maybe you saw him in one of the pictures. He was born in the Medina. He grew up all his life there. He left school and spent a few years doing nothing. And then he joined us. He was very shy in the beginning. Today he's one of the managers, and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, I always felt for my life to be better, I have to leave the Medina. But now I know we can make it better ourselves right here. Another example is our cook. She's a widow with 3 children, and she lives nearby. She cooks just like she cooks for her kids. In the beginning, she was ashamed in her community that they will think she's working, and she goes back home and she doesn't want to leave at 4. Now she comes at night and she feels very confident, and she's happy to come at night to work. She goes back home with her head high. Her son now is learning how to be a cook, and we're funding his school. So it's mind shift. It's how you see your community. It's becoming proud of your community, of what you do, proud of the journey that you made to push yourself into someone that may be getting to a stage where you did not imagine you can reach. So I think this gives hope to them, but also to the whole community.
Has parlat del cas d'aquesta dona i abans també parlaves de com aquest projecte havia canviat la vida de les dones. Podries ampliar una mica això? Parlaves també d'un tema de seguretat en el cas de les dones. Com havia millorat la seguretat.
Yes, I'm very emotional about this topic because traditionally in the Medina of Tunis, all homes had a courtyard, and the public space for women was the courtyard. But the public space, the outside the house public space, the men in the community, they use it as an extension of the house. So you will not see a difference in attitude of men in the house or outside the house. And also the public space is used by men to get knowledge, to understand politics, to discuss, to sell you what you do, to be in the souk, to be in the market and create economic opportunity for yourself. But for women, the public space outside the house is only used to go from point A to B. It's not a space to network. It's not a space to learn, to exchange, to interact, to get knowledge, to understand politics, to understand the economy, to understand how the market works. And this is how we started trying to rethink, and in fact, it's not only me, of course, with the community, trying to rethink the collapsed building spaces, especially those who have completely vanished, how we can convert them into green, safe spaces for girls and women. And it's tricky because we need to always create activities. We created one space, and we are from myself and my team, we're always thinking, how do we make activities there and make sure that they are inclusive. The space needs to be gender blind, needs to welcome anyone. So we have shown videos in the public space. Sometimes I go myself to show women that it's okay, and the girls around us. We make activities as planting, as showing movies, and in fact, the last time we showed it was now I remember, it was the match between the UK and Spain. We showed it in public space, and believe me, everyone was with Spain, of course. and it was, I think, the first time in public space there's a match, and there's girls and boys watching. Mm-hmm. But we want to make it a normal attitude and safe, and in fact, it was a little bit tricky because not every man were happy, and the security people were not happy. But then, security is not the police. Security is young people happy in their community. That's the best security you can do.
Mm-hmm. Clar, aquest tema que estàs parlant de les dones i d'aquesta seguretat que agafen des de tots els punts de vista, professional i en la seva vida quotidiana, hi ha un tema que t'interessa molt, que és el tema de l'autoestima, no? De l'autoestima, has parlat als teus textos, als teus articles i entrevistes de l'autoestima d'una comunitat, no? De tot un grup que agafa aquesta paraula que ara està tan de moda, que es diu empoderament, no? No només per les dones, sinó tota la comunitat que de sota veu com creix aquesta autoconfiança, no? Això és molt important per vostè.
Yeah, I see it in people I work with. I think it's not only the Medina. I think any city has a community that that don't go there. Don't go there. It's be careful. Every city has a community that is has a negative stereotype. And it impacts the people in that community, I mean, sometimes they try to lie, you want to get a job, you don't want to tell people that you live there. You want to make friends, you don't want people to know that you live there. So it impacts how you think of yourself. I mean, today we have received people from 68 nationalities, and we get a lot of single women travelers. We get a lot of families, and they come with no prejudgments, and this in itself gives confidence in the people of the community. And they feel they want to give the best experience to change the perception. But then you need to give them a role. I mean, they need to feel they are responsible. And I think this is also what makes business sense when you work in a community like this, to hire people from the community, because in my business, whoever passes by, the cousin works there or the mother works there, so they feel connected to the space. So it's the business is included in the community. It's in harmony with the community. The baker needs my business because we buy from him every day. So if my guest is passing by and they are lost, he will help them come back. So and this is the power of inclusive business. It becomes everybody's.
És el poder una mica de la xarxa, no? De fer xarxa, de compartir serveis, de fer xarxa. És el que empodera, no? El que acaba donant aquesta...
Yes, and the tricky thing here is to make sure that the public good is put ahead in front. People need to feel that not one is winning. We are all winning together. And yes, I think the best way to improve, to give a positive story of the community, is for the community to come together and write their own story, their own positive story. And this helps the self-esteem, because you're part of the community, you have a say, you are heard, you contributed to the story, you contributed to the positive ideas that are coming out, and this is an important part of self-esteem, yes.
Quina ha estat la relació que heu tingut des de Bluefish i els projectes que heu portat a terme? Quina ha estat la relació que heu tingut amb l'administració pública? Crec que això és important, o sigui, amb la cosa política i sobretot amb els canvis que hi ha hagut a Tunísia, no? Sobretot des de la primavera àrab, no? Que a més va ser el centre una mica l'inici de tot plegat. Quins són els canvis i els obstacles que hi ha hagut en aquest sentit? Si és que hi ha hagut obstacles.
Of course, there's always problems in the organization. In Tunisia, I don't know about Spain, but they're slow. So it's the speed of business and the speed of administration are not compatible. Okay. And this yes, makes it challenging. But also in Tunisia, I'm talking, of course, about my own experience. We don't have micro-business legislation. So the fiscal system is the same for a 200-room hotel like a 7-room hotel. So it does not make it easy. But also the other challenge, and I think this is probably the same in Europe, especially in small tourism projects. There's a lot of competition from Airbnb, and they don't pay taxes, they don't pay social security, but you have to sell at the same price. Okay. What other challenges? It's just the permits are very slow. Also. It's not exactly, it does not answer exactly your question, but it's something that is, I always feel, it's the education system suffered a lot after the revolution. And the priority was to political development, which was stagnating before the revolution. So everything else slowed down. And if you slow down education, it's really, it becomes very tricky, because I hire most of the people I work with dropped out of school, but they are very intelligent people, and they are hungry to learn. So sometimes I feel it's the school that failed, not the student. And this is tricky, and I feel very responsible to create opportunities for them. In fact, an important percentage of our profit tries to help young people stay in school or continue in higher education.
Hi ha alguns reptes, no?, en tots aquests projectes, imagino, no? Un d'ells és com trobar l'equilibri entre preservar l'herència cultural i patrimonial, que els negocis siguin rendibles i tenir aquesta funció social, no? És a dir, com trobar aquest equilibri?
Yes, that's the magic of social entrepreneurship. It's the favorite balance. It's how to keep the business profitable, but never compensate people, community, but also heritage. And I often see investors that come to the Medina and they want to make they want to restore, they want to buy a building, an old building, and restore it. But then, the business mind, they buy a 17th century home. It has 7 rooms, yes, but I want to add 10 more, so it's more profitable. And it's tricky. It's tricky they always think of maximizing the profit from the existing building, and this is also very tricky. But also working with the community is not always, because you're not going to get someone who knows how to set the table. You need to show them. If you hire someone who did not finish school, maybe they're not the best concierge, they're not the best receptionist. And maybe the lady next door, she will make the bed like she does in her house. It's not like hotel style, So all these things, personally now I have, after doing it so many times, of course it was not always a success, but it's kind of, I got to a stage where we have a process of making people integrate the tourism business that we have created, but I see other investors that come in the Medina and they're not as empathetic to the community, not the community, but maybe the people they want to hire in the building. I think architectural empathy is magic. Like this building is how do you preserve it while giving it all this technology that we need today. And this is magic. It's it's something that is a technique that not many people can master.
Un altre repte, i que és un repte que aquí a Barcelona coneixem molt bé, que hi ha un gran debat al voltant d'això, és el tema del model de turisme que volem. A Barcelona, per exemple, es pateix que hi ha moltíssimes botigues o negocis de tradició local, a vegades amb famílies de diverses generacions han tingut una botiga i anem veient amb els anys que van tancant perquè les famílies ja no volen continuar aquest negoci o perquè ve un fons voltor o una gran corporació que compra aquell local o compra aquell edifici. Hi ha també el perill de que la ciutat o el centre de la ciutat es converteixi en un parc temàtic, en una cosa falsa, que no s'adigui a la realitat, i el perill de la gentrificació, que vinguin les grans cadenes de restaurants o d'hotels i que envaeixin, de certa manera, aquest espai. Això és un problema que a Barcelona s'està parlant moltíssim i és molt difícil trobar la solució. I això com es pot evitar? Quin és el seu pensament sobre això?
I think the revitalization should come without forcing people to leave. And this is another balance that I'm very passionate about. I mean, gentrification is really relocating. I mean, how do you create the dynamic without forcing people to relocate? And this is why I'm very passionate about inclusive to create a business that is inclusive of the community. The whole community needs to rise with the business. Not one pushes the other. Creating a business that is in harmony with the community so that the community benefits from the business and they elevate without needing to gentrify because the space has become too expensive for them. And this is the beauty of inclusive business, but it's also a delicate equation. And even in the Medina, the artisans are suffering. Every 2-3 years, I'm trying to monitor the number of artisans because there were, artisan guilds, and I'm sure Spain is the same. There were, many craftsmanship. And every year there's more made in China shops. There's, but the artisans that are around us, we're trying to help them make a living, not just from selling the product, also selling an experience, because maybe there's not enough demand for the product to make them live. But if you are part of our shared economy in the community, then there's more demand for the experience maybe, and this will help you keep your workshop in the Medina. Same with the small restaurants. They're being converted into big restaurants, but we're creating a street food tour to tell their story better, to highlight them. We're creating maps so that our guests know where the artisans that make products with their hands are. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but at least we try.
Aquest model s'ha exportat a altres llocs del país? Algú us ha copiat, diguem-ne?
I'm invited often to, I've been to 3 other cities in Tunisia to share what we have done. And I think the beauty is that people coming together, people see the importance of working together. We're not competitors. We have to work together to create it as a destiny. It cannot be a destination if we don't work together. We cannot create positive urban transformation with only one house. We need the guest house, we need the restaurant, we need the cafe, we need the artisan, we need the tour, we need the street, the clean street, we need the safe place, we need the light at night. So it needs to be a community to create a destination. And this is where other cities are realizing is important. And I've been invited to 3 places. And in fact, even the governance model, I'm often asked how we're governing, because we are 26 business and 5 NGOs and many young people who are involved. So we try to meet and discuss and become the vis-a-vis to public authorities, and I think showing the positivity of collaborating, and it does not have to be your way always. Sometimes it's your way, sometimes it's my way. It's okay, but both of us will win in the end.
Sí. Molt bé. Abans de potser continuar, potser si teniu alguna pregunta o comentari que us pugui contestar la Leila, doncs... Roger Albinyant. Sí, és veritat.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ben Gacem. I actually wanted to ask you about the governance model, because you pointed out that, and you didn't dig into the matter. You spoke of a number of businesses, number of NGOs, number of people, all coexisting, all working together. How do you govern yourself?
Okay, so thank you for the question, because I spoke about two businesses and they have two different business models. So first, there's my boutique hotel. It's called Leila Ben Gacem. So it's a social enterprise. We are a profitable business, and we use our profits to either restore more spaces or cover the school expenses of young people in the community who are thinking of dropping out because of financial difficulties. And then the other business is Mdinti. It's an economic interest group. So it's also a profit-making business with the board that is composed of micro businesses based in the Medina. So we're all united to work on improving the economic dynamic of the territory, to get more business for each one of us, to improve our resilience, but to help us also create more jobs for people in the community. It's managed by a board. I'm the president. And we have a team of an operating team. So every year we get new people who want to become members. And we get together and we vote if we want them to get on board or not. And we have, of course, some criteria of who can join, who not. If it's an artisan, we would like them to join. If it's a shop selling the made in China, we debate. If it's a boutique hotel that completely restored the building, or sometimes there are boutique hotels that destroy the building and make a nice building with the... which is a lot more profitable, maybe. But so we are always debating who can join and what activities we want to make and how we approach the government authorities on specific territorial challenges. Did I answer the question?
Hi ha alguna pregunta més? Si no faré... Jo li volia també parlar d'un altre tema que també porta la Leila Ben Gacem, que és tots els temes dels seus projectes digitals. Per exemple, un sembla molt interessant és la creació d'una biblioteca digital de música popular, de tunisiana, no? Ens podries explicar una mica aquest projecte?
Yes, I have two interesting digital projects I would love to share. One was, in fact, two ideas came from young people, from the community. The first is, in fact, thank you for asking, because it's related to Malouf. Malouf is the Tunisian word for Tunisian Andalusi music. Mm-hmm. So in 1934, there is an NGO that was initiated called Rashidia. At that time, it was the beginning of the French occupation, and it was a time where it was not trendy to listen to Tunisian music anymore, and it was more trendy to listen to French music. And so a group of people came together. It's the same story as our grouping today. A group of people came together, and they decided there's a threat to our national music. Let's start documenting it. And they started something called Rashidia from 1934. So the association still exists today, and they have the biggest written repertoire of Tunisian music of Andalusi heritage. Mm-hmm. And it was all paper. So in fact, it was a group of people, the group of young people who said, we can lose this if we don't do something about it. So we started crowdfunding, they volunteered their time in sorting the documents, digitalizing them, and we created a digital library that is accessible to researchers today and musicians. But another nice, also digital story is an NGO of young people. They needed space. Basically, the way I help is by providing space, as you can see, and also getting permits from the government so they can access the, the archives and locations, or getting permits to use the public space. Another project was to upload information about historical buildings on Wikipedia. You know, Wikipedia is an open platform. And so for, I think, 2 years, we met every Sunday. And also, I had to get access to our National Library to get references about historical buildings. And we were able to document every historical building, I hope, in the Medina, even those that do not have disappeared, don't exist anymore. So mosques, madrasas, shrines, palaces, courts, they were all uploaded. I think we created more than 300 articles, and they were translated by a network of people from all over the world. So I think they were translated into 6 or 7 languages. And this is another way of preserving also.
Yes, of course. I quins projectes té pensats pel futur, que té en ment per començar o per continuar, en certa manera?
Now I'm getting excited about converting the collapsed spaces into gardens.
Oh, wow.
And, but also, we have just started, I hope to start next year. Next year it will be a modest master, but I hope to start a chantier école. So it's like a vocational school, but on site. So when buildings are being restored, you can teach builders restoration. In Tunisia, despite the important number of buildings that need to be restored, we do not have a vocational training for restoration. We have vocational training for construction, but not for restoration. Also, the School of Architecture do not have a specialty in architecte du patrimoine. So, inshallah, I hope if God allows, if God, how do you say it in English? If God allows, next year we hope to start at construction sites, at restoration sites with master artisans. We do the teaching at the site. So then we create new jobs in the restoration speciality.
Hi ha una pregunta, per allà hi ha una altra pregunta.
Thank you. If I may, I would like to hear a bit about your experience as a woman entrepreneur. Do you think you faced specific challenge in your country when you decided to set up Bluefish? And also, if you could elaborate a bit on, do you think that this social entrepreneurship angle is more something that a woman would be more inclined to do? Because we care more about the social component. If you could elaborate a bit, it would be great. Thank you.
I'm not the best gender person to talk. So of course, there were challenges, but you have to be blind. I mean, so I have experience in the 3 sectors, if there are 3 sectors. But in civil society, like if you are in a humanitarian sector or NGO sector, the woman is comfortable there because, as you said, we are expected to care. So you see a lot of women who had foundations or NGOs, and it's almost a natural place for a woman. In the business sector, you need to work 2-3 times more than a man to get to where they get, because of the networking. I mean, because of plenty of other things, because of life, because of women, because this, that. You can. In Tunisia, we are famous to have all men cafes, and that's where people find networks and things and that. So it just takes double as much. But then I was also elected in a municipal council. In politics, you need to work 20 times more. So when I was elected, I realized that it was not so bad in entrepreneurship.
No, però millor no, millor el micro per la traducció. Aquí.
Gràcies. Bona tarda. No he acabat d'aprofundir amb el tema de les relacions amb l'administració, de com col·laboren, com reben els ajuts, si és que en reben. Ho ha passat molt per sobre quan li has preguntat i ha fugit una mica d'estudi. I m'agradaria saber com les autoritats públiques què pensen d'aquests projectes i com col·laboren o ajuden o com s'organitzen una mica, perquè això amb els països àrabs és un tema per mi interessant de conèixer. Gràcies.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Example of restoring a house in the Medina of Tunis, because the Medina of Tunis is a UNESCO heritage site. And sometimes, UNESCO label, it's good, it preserves the urban status, but it's also a burden on the people who live there. So I can even give you a concrete example. Now I'm trying to restore a house. So you get the architect to make the plan. So you need to make 20 copies, paper this size. You go and you put them in the municipality. And I did this 23rd of March. And then they give a few copies to the architects of l'Institut National du Patrimoine. And they give a few copies to l'Association de Sauvegarde de la Médina. So each team needs to review, and they visit, and they make a report, and they send it to the municipality. And then the municipality, they read the two reports, and they make their own report and reply to me. So I did not get a reply yet from 23 March. I called them before I traveled here. They said, we will reply to you end of December. And their reply, they will ask for changes in the plan. So I have to make the changes and submit again, and maybe wait another 9 months. And the problem here is that, and this is why I was saying that the speed of private sector and speed of public sector do not match. Because if I have a budget, if I have investors, I have a budget, after 1 year, it's not the same. With inflation, it's not the same. If you give me the permit after 2 years, my budget is, it doesn't work anymore. Before the revolution, we had subsidies to encourage people to restore their homes. This program was stopped after the revolution. And in fact, I was talking about urban degradation caused by the collapsed buildings that have multi-owners. But it's the same story as I was saying about education. Also, heritage is not a priority today. There's so many other more important things in the government, and restoring a historical building is very low on the priority list. So on top of the urban degradation, there's also the public buildings in the Medina who are in need of restoration, in need of maintenance, in need of maybe rethinking the purpose of their existence, and they're also closed today, and you cannot visit them. So, and this is why I'm trying to push for private-public partnership, but this is very lengthy process, because especially now in Tunisia, there's a lot of talk about anti-corruption, and public administrators are afraid to partner with the private. They prefer not to do it to save their place, because why did you contract with Monsi, not Leila? So it's very tricky. So it's very slow, and there's a little bit of resistance to partnering with private for fear of corruption cases. Did I answer the question? All I want is I pay my taxes and they let me work.
Hi ha una pregunta allà.
The project Now? Ah, okay. The project of the Chantier Col, are you doing it on a private basis, or do you have some counterparts that are supporting you?
No, of course, this is another, it's going to be almost private-public partnership, but I've been working on it for many years now. But no, we're not alone. We're trying to collaborate with an institution called COPAM, if someone knows it. So it's a Mediterranean network of historical cities. And we're trying to, in fact, they were in Tunis in October, and they brought with them l'École d'Avignon and l'Université d'Aix-Marseille. And in Tunis, I invited the National School of Architecture, of course, all the government institutions related working on heritage preservation. So, and also we have the National Institute of Institut National Métier de Patrimoine. So anyway, we're trying to create it as a joint project. So I'm doing the coordination, but I'm hoping that it will look like public-public. But we will see.
And there's no, regarding these buildings collapsing in the Medina, there's no a law that that enforces owners to act when the building is about to collapse?
Oh, why do I need this? Okay, it's very tricky. In fact, this is my dream number 516, to find to push for a better legislation to stop this multi-ownership. You know, you have countries with intelligent fiscal systems where, you know, some countries you need to pay a lot of money when you inherit, and this forces you to sell. But for us, inheritance is religious. It's like, you know, my family's. It's
proud.
Yes, exactly. It belongs to us. You know, I cannot give the government. So it has been always hard to change the policies. There is if the land is not constructed, and there's the family does not agree on what to do with it after 50 years, the government can confiscate it. But if it's built, if there's only one stone, they can't. If it's built, then it remains within the family. And in fact, we have a lot of problems in Centre-Ville in Tunis, because there are a lot of buildings that were owned by Italians and Maltese and French, and sometimes the families might not even know that they have a building. So it remains, the government cannot take it, and whoever owns it needs to come one day. So it's really tricky. I'm working on 2-3 buildings. In fact, one of the buildings you saw, my boutique hotel, I bought it from 34 owners. 34 owners. So it's one building, 34. So 34 contracts and 34 checks. And if one does not sign, I own the house with them. I have to. So it's really tricky, and sometimes the families don't agree, and it's really complicated. There's another building we're trying to buy. There's 16 owners, and there's 2 cousins. They don't agree. They don't want to be in the same room. So we have to find a lawyer and this and that, and to save the building. But it's tricky. Yeah.
Hola, bueno, moltíssimes gràcies per la teva intervenció. Yes, I'm going to do it in Catalan for people who does... Wait. La meva primera pregunta és que la Medina de Tunis és patrimoni de la humanitat de la UNESCO, llavors és patrimoni de tots. Llavors, a vegades portar tot aquest tema de la gentrificació que estàveu parlant, però la meva pregunta anava més encaminada. Espereu que m'he despistat per culpa del telèfon. Faré la segona primera. I'm really sorry, I got distracted by the phone. La primera és sobre com, si teniu algun pla d'inclusió de persones handicapées en situació de discapacitat dintre de la Medina, o si vosaltres com a empresa també treballeu sobre això. I sobre el tema de la UNESCO, sí que quan has mencionat les persones o les institucions que tenen que revisar tots els teus projectes, no has mencionat a UNESCO. UNESCO no té checks and balances, I don't know how to say this in Catalan, com processos de checks dels vostres plans. Ja està, són aquestes dues.
Thank you. It's very tricky in the Medina for handicapped people. Even in my boutique hotel, I try to keep the building as is, but there's so many little steps, and even the stairs, they're not the same length. And we are thinking of maybe, okay, this is another dream, but making a restoration that is ecological, but also special needs friendly. This will need some serious architectural thinking. The second question about UNESCO. As I said, UNESCO is important in preserving the urban structure, but at the end of the day, it becomes, and I hate to say the word, but it becomes a burden because you need to restore the house exactly as is. And then it becomes expensive. I mean, if you want to redo this wood in the same work, not everybody can afford it. If you want to do it by the book, then you need to go through all these licenses. So sadly, many people just close the door and do what they can. But also it does not take, it's complicated economically for some families. You know, if you have, and I'm sorry to share this, but this is the reality. If you have a room full of tiles, ceramic tiles on the wall, and you don't have money to feed your children, each tile you can, it's 300 years old, it can make nice money. So is it okay or not okay? So yes, UNESCO is imposing has a lot of criteria. If you're a UNESCO heritage site, the window needs to stay the same, the door needs to stay the same. But then if I'm living in one room and I want my girls to be comfortable, I will build a wall in the middle to give her rooms. So it's another challenge between keeping life in the historical city or making it an open-air museum, making it an archaeological site. So the balance is always difficult. And in fact, the Medina of Tunis, there's like almost two groups of people see it a different way. You know, there's like a bottom-up approach and a top-down approach. You know, people who live there, they just want the bakery next door, they want the school, they want the hospital nearby. But then the government, the L'Institut National du Patrimoine, they almost feel that people who live there are destroying it. But, you know, finding the balance between keeping life and preserving is another. And this is where it's important if we make investments to make it inclusive, so that people people benefit from the local investments, and then they become more sensitive and able to restore their heritage.
Tindríem temps per una pregunta més i després ja passaríem a cloure l'acte.
I'm very curious about your relationship with politics, because you say you're trying to change things from the side of social entrepreneurship, but you also say that your dream is to change the legislation, and you've been elected to your home city, I think, Beni Khaled. So, any chance to see you run for to be the mayor of Tunis in the future? I mean, if the system allows, because at the moment it's difficult, but how do you see the power of politics to change things? Or you prefer to remain on the side of social entrepreneurship?
I got confused. I keep on getting confused. But once upon a time, I wanted to be a mayor. I love city management. I think city management is a social enterprise in itself because you have to be profitable to help people. And that's what social enterprise is. And I was running for a mayor position, and I did not get it by 2 votes. But then I was elected, and I saw how difficult it is to push your ideas, because you have to make, you're sitting with people who don't agree with you, with different parties, with different, they see another dream of their city, they have other priorities. And I wanted to when I was elected, I wanted to make 200 things. I made 3, but I'm happy with my 3 because it was so difficult to make the 3.
Well, this is normal.
But now, with that experience, I think I'm more free now to push for what I think is positive urban transformations.
Molt bé. Doncs molt bé, cloem aquí la conversa amb la Leila Ben Gacem. Jo li volia agrair que primer que hagi vingut, que ens hagi explicat els seus projectes i sobretot la força, l'entusiasme, la positivitat, que jo crec que són forces avui en dia amb els temps que corren moltes formadores gairebé revolucionàries, només la força i la positivitat. Això sí que li vull agrair moltíssim aquesta actitud.
Thank you, Montse. I enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for the translator.
I abans de tot, una mica donem la paraula al Roger Albinyana, que és el director de l'Institut Europeu de Mediterrània, que tancarà l'acte i tancarà el cicle que forma part d'aquesta conversa.
Muchas gracias, Montse. Thank you so much, Leila, for illuminating us in this difficult world, in this difficult path with your social project. I think that you managed to close the virtuous circle of social entrepreneurship or social economy combined with sustainable development and then preserving heritage. So it's really, we are really fascinated by the work that you are doing. In fact, I was about to close this cycle, and I was about to do it in Catalan, but given that we have such a large presence from diplomats and officials from the UFM Secretariat, I will stick to English also for respect to our guests tonight. And first of all, allow me to deeply thank the long-standing cooperation that we have had with Jaume Lanaspa, who in himself is an institution in this magnificent Palau Macaya. All the trust and the cooperation with his team from La Caixa Banking Foundation, from the Rome Club, and also to thank the team from IMED that has made this cycle possible, headed by Antoine Prioral and the rest of the team, Nicolas, Stefan, and others who have worked very hard to make this cycle of the Med Dialogues a reality this year. A cycle where we use this motto of ideas or creating spaces for ideas for a sustainable Mediterranean, how we apply the 2030 agenda in our beloved region. Let's not forget that we started in a very difficult moment with a 2021 edition. That was the first edition fully online. The road towards a more sustainable and resilient Mediterranean. Then we had our first face-to-face edition in 2022, where we spoke of human security, then the 2023 edition with adaptation strategies. We had a very careful read to the UFM and MEDEC report in which they said, well, the pending subject in the region is the adaptation strategies. So we said, let's concentrate on the adaptation strategies. And then this year's edition, which I have to say that when Antoine conceived it in the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical, but which proved to be really successful. And I want to thank him for that, because he was the intellectual author of this edition, in which we combined like very different angles, from the circular economy with a testimony of Omar Idmani to the mobilization of youth in the region, which, as you know, is a very important segment in the Mediterranean region, and how they mobilize to combat the climate emergency with Manar El Kebir, with the marine preservation, where we had Zafir Kizilkaya, last session on how the fight for climate change and sustainable development in general can help create conditions for peace in the Middle East, with Gideon Brumberg and Nara Magdalani. And finally, today we close, and as I said, we were fascinated with your social project with Leila Ben Gacem on how preserving the heritage and the culture in general can also help to promote sustainable development. What have we been doing throughout this cycle? Well, we have been giving voice and we have been generating dialogue with leaders. This person, she's a leader. And the ones I mentioned before, they are leaders. Some of them, they are very well known. Some of them have received awards. They have received international recognition. Some others have received less international recognition. But at the end of the day, they are leaders. And why are we doing it right now? And that's why I'm praising the initiative that Antoine had a few months ago. Because we live in a complete and difficult, very complex regional environment. And this last year, actually, this regional environment has actually worsened. I mean, we have seen what have happened in the last 3 to 4 to 5 months. You go 3,000 kilometers away from here to the Middle East, and you will see how the war and the conflict has unfortunately worsened. And this complex regional situation is in the midst of growing complex and difficult international and global situation. We saw the results of the US elections. We saw the results of the COP29 in Baku. And here, of course, we are discussing about sustainable development and the strategies to advance to achieve the 2030 agenda. And of course, we always have to express our skepticism on the Baku COP29. So my assumption is that in the short run, things will not improve, not regionally nor globally. The macro will not improve. That's why we said, okay, let's go and let's move into the micro, because there is where we can find successful stories. Not everything that we see, that we hear from the region is bad. I mean, there are very good examples of promising stories, of successful stories. And sometimes we, in IMET, and also the Rome Club, we always deal with the macro. And the macro nowadays is as it is not how we would like to see it. So that's why we said, okay, let's zoom it a little bit and let's go into the micro. And there we have unveiled stories of success, people that have the capacity to transform the reality. And this difficult reality in which we live, this region that is complex, that is difficult, has lots of successful stories at the micro level that have the capacity to transform the region. And that's what we did. So let us not underestimate the power of transformation that stories like Leila today and the others did. And with that, well, I would like to thank you all, especially the audience that accompany us throughout this cycle. And as Jaume said earlier on, well, we will meet again next year with a new cycle. So let's hope that we will continue in this path of trying to shed light on the successful stories that really deserve our attention. Thank you very much.